I mean, well, I'll just say,
What do you want to start with?
you know, we can. There's three main stories going on in the world right now, and one is the border, and the other is COVID.
Let's start with the border.
Border.
I actually have a article right here pulled up. I figured I'd go on Fox News and see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And not only that, we did actually have somebody ask about this. I think Donna did comment about this because they're talking about the White House says they don't know if they will require illegal immigrants to be vaccinated at the border, but they are going to require anyone else traveling to America to be vaccinated. But the people at the border, she says that currently the Border Patrol it's not their job to vaccinate people, and that they will look into it. And that's kind of crazy to me. Like, they're here because they're not taking everyone that's walking across legally that they come across and turning them around and shoving them back into Mexico, wherever they came from on the other side of the border.
They're not.
So,
Which I mean, I don't really understand what they're doing. To be honest with you, I don't think anyone knows what the policy is. I think people. First of all, I just can't imagine how desperate you have to be for your life to be different for you to completely abandon everything that you've been raised in, lived in, people you know, family, you know, people are coming by as individuals and groups. I honestly, I don't understand it. I don't understand.
I don't think we ever will.
Where these people are all coming from, how they're assembling to come in these large groups. Where they are coming from specifically, it sounds like they're literally coming from all over the world, which means they're flying in from other places to either Central America, South America, or Mexico itself and landing there. And then I've heard there's spots right on the other side of the Rio Grande where people just abandon their passports so that they have no ID, and they have like these giant piles of passports that are building up because nobody wants anyone to know who they are, and they're just coming across unidentified.
Look, man, I'm going to bring something back just for you, buddy.
What's that?
Here we go. They come. I was going to say they come across like
surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise! I got my soundboard back.
What is? Wait,
I got the soundboard back.
Come across as
what? They come across and they say,
surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know what is I mean, I know what's causing it. They're obviously in extreme poverty.
Yeah,
and they have zero hope or faith in their own government to turn things around.
Could you find me one American that can tell me anything about the Mexican government? And first of all, let's be completely clear that the people coming across the border are not solely from Mexico.
Right.
If you believe that everyone that crosses the border
I think Mexican. There's some. I think there are people.
There's definitely.
I think there are people. I think there are people in America who think that everyone that comes across the border is Mexican.
100%.
I think there's people in America who thinks everyone that lives south of America is Mexican. I believe that they just think that anybody who is not Caucasian and is not black is a Mexican. I mean, I've heard people, I've sat in rooms with people who talk that way, and I want to look at them and be like, I know people that think that Dominicans and Puerto Ricans are not Americans.
Oh yeah, well,
they don't think they're Americans.
They don't, because we don't ever talk about them as being.
Well, they have no representation.
Right. There's no like. Well, the congressman.
They don't have a senator or congressman, right. So they have no representation. But they are. What do you districts? I mean, I don't know what you call them. Properties of America. They are.
Isn't it weird that they've been part of our country this long, and it's just like we're just like, they're fucking out there.
People don't think of them that way at all.
No,
they do not think of the Dominican. I bet you 75% of Americans are completely unaware that Puerto Rico Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are Americans. I bet they don't know that. I'm sure they don't. If you were to tell them that, they'd be like, "Oh, get the fuck out of here. That's not true. They're Mexicans."
They'd be like,
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of the problem in America is the complete lack of awareness, knowledge, education, information that people have, and their complete lack of desire to seek it.
oh yeah,
They're not
we
even
care.
interested in learning anything new.
No,
Like,
no one
I
gives a
mean,
shit.
you're gonna get. I've started paying a little bit more attention to my Facebook since you told me some of that stuff and seeing what they suggest for me. Apparently, Facebook thinks that I'm I desperate for love is all I can say. Is how Facebook interprets me, because everything that Facebook sends me is some kind of message about how I will eventually, if I persevere long enough, I will find love and not to give up. Basically, everything that Facebook sends me is do not give up. You will find love.
I love it.
Which I'm not seeking. I am very content with my life the way it is. I would, but that I just find it interesting that that's how they perceive me. I have all female friends on there, so I guess maybe that makes it look like I don't think of it as a dating opportunity, but anyway, so my interactions with other people lead me to believe that they're just not curious. I mean, in my conversations, I'll talk to people about the stuff I believe. And it does not take more than 2 sentences before they start, no, I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, and you can bring up just not even like obscure topics of things that are happening around you that you probably should somewhat care about. So we have two sides in America. We have people who are oblivious to what's happening and give no F's about it.
Right.
And then we have the other side of people who care way too much about a few things.
Right.
Right. And then in between, you've got people who just look at both sides and you're like, y'all are so crazy.
Right.
How do you not know this? And how could you possibly think that? Those are the two sides.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's a lot. It's actually a lot of. It's a lot of different sides. But the thing I think about the border is, and I get it. There are people that talk about how we have to secure the border. I don't know that there's any lack of room in America for people. I mean, we've got space. I don't know why people are mad. Look, let me tell you something. In my opinion,
we have
here's the
space,
thing.
We have a lot of undeveloped land. I don't know that to the extent of what we just talked about. I don't know that people realize how much land in our country is just
Empty.
land. There's nothing on it for.
No, I'm saying there's room for people. Not only that, but there's obviously an abundance of jobs available. I believe the current count is around 10 million jobs that are available. I know that the argument against first of all, there's some people that are just mad that anybody comes across the border. They're mad at anybody. But I can tell you this, and I've said this many times, and I definitely feel this way. If I didn't live in America, every waking moment of my life would be spent trying to get to America. Whatever I would have to do, wherever else in the world I might be, even if I was comfortable, I would want to come to America. No differently than I wanted to go to New York City for a while. And I loved being in New York City. And if the weather wasn't as the way it was up there, I would have stayed. I want to be where things are going on. And America is where things are going on. We are the best at everything. We really are. Even if we have our faults, and we do have our faults, it doesn't mean that we're still not better than. I mean, I believe we're better than everybody, but I still also believe that there is so much room for us to improve. The fact that other people are shitty, that other places in the world are shitty places to live or have shittier governments than we have, I think there's a level of corruption to the people that are in charge in any government system. We say it's a democracy. We don't have a democracy. They prove it every day. And the other thing is we have government officials who do not give a shit about what happens to the people in America or anywhere else in the world. And they pretend to. And then there's people that are uninformed. And so they're not interested in finding out what the real issues are, what people are actually doing to solve them. The answer to that is nothing.
So what do we do at the border? What do we do? I don't think we'll ever, unless you go there.
Here's
You'll never know what's going on.
Well,
but what would you do?
Here's what I would say. Again, my feelings on it are different. I respect somebody who has abandoned everything in their life and made basically a life or death decision to come across. It's not like they're coming from another neighborhood to a neighborhood. The people that are coming across this border in some cases have traveled thousands of miles over, and they die all the time. The desert is filled down there with dead bodies of people that have tried to make that journey and couldn't make it. And they don't, they're in the desert. They're in the middle of nowhere. They have no water. They have no, you even look at the groups of people that are walking, you have to say to yourself, well, they're not carrying anything. They're walking from wherever they're from. They have nothing. They are relying on people, I guess, along the way to allow them to eat, to allow them to use the bathroom. They obviously don't have any clothes, so they're wearing the same clothes. They're not showering. There's nowhere for them to bathe. I don't know how you are, but I know for me personally, as homeless as I've ever been, the only time I went longer than 2 days without a shower was when I was in the military, and we were out doing maneuvers, and we had things that we had to do. We called it being downrange. When we were downrange, I would go several days without showering, and it was awful. And even in all my homelessness, in 8 years of being homeless, I took a shower almost every single day. And once in a while I would miss a day and would be miserable as a result of it. It's miserable to be dirty and not be clean and not get, I wake up in the morning and I think about, I have a very extensive process to go from when I wake up to when I am fully ready to face the world. And I can't imagine what, just that little part of what their journey is like. These people, they're suffering tremendously to get here.
I'm saying this. And if you were to put yourself in one of those shoes, you're south of the border, you've decided that you are going to
I'm giving up everything going to
America. What's your plan? What do you do? Like, let's just say you make it there and you have nothing.
Right.
You've got probably no money to your name.
Right.
You might have a phone. Let's just say you have a phone from Mexico. Maybe. Like I'm gonna give them benefit of that. They didn't leave. They weren't like completely homeless and down and out. Maybe let's just say they got $100. They got 100 US bucks. They've made it here. What's the first thing that you do? What do? You're across the border. You're now in America as an illegal immigrant.
Well, I'll just say what I've had to do.
I want to know. Put yourself in their shoes.
Well,
not your
it's
shoes.
hard for me. It's so hard for me to relate to what they've got to overcome because they have the language barrier. They have no identification. They have no clothing. They have no shelter. They have nowhere to stay. They don't know anybody. They don't really understand the culture. There's so many things. They've got to. Obviously, they need help. They need support. But they're going to need somebody to help them get the things that they need to even get enough on their feet to get to the point where they have a job, which I would think your first need is food. You need to be able to eat because you can't survive without food and water. So you've got to establish a way to get food and water. In order to do that, you have to have money in the United States.
Well, you don't need money. You could go dumpster diving. You could do that. You could always beg for food. What I'm getting at with this is that it's pretty much completely impossible for anybody who's here to relate in any way to that.
Right.
As homeless as you've ever been.
Right. That's why I'm saying.
Not even couldn't even fathom the thought of like, what would I do?
If I was homeless in another country besides America and I was having to survive in another country with no ID, no money, no knowledge, just the clothes on my back, you're talking about being in some serious deep shit. But obviously, whatever level of deep shit that is, it is clearly better than whatever they are coming from. And that's the thing that's, to me, I can't help but have some level of respect for the fact that they're willing to subject themselves to those things with no guarantee of success. But even the slim possibility, and I don't know what the number of people that come across the border that turn into a successful participating American, I have no idea what those stats are.
I think the first
But
thing
I would
that I would
say
do,
that you're if you've done that, you have overcome a tremendous amount of adversity.
an insane amount. I think the first thing that I would do is I would find somebody that I could communicate with, like that I could talk to. Like I would speak, because like I said, you're coming over here speaking a different language than as the native language. Now, granted, a lot of people, probably especially around the border, these probably speak Spanish, but let's just say that's the first thing I do. I find somebody that I can talk to, that I can ask, where am I? Because probably don't know. And you just start going. Think about it. You don't know any people. Maybe some of them know somebody. They come here looking for somebody, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't know any people.
Some of them come across completely by themselves.
Or you came across, you came here to meet somebody, and how do you even find them? Like let's just say you know somebody who lives in Kentucky, and they've wrote you, you've messaged them. You know, I'm gonna say wrote you. Let's look. We're in 2021. They probably have some kind of at least like a cheap burner phone that they can call people, right? And that's just my brain goes instantly to who you wrote them, because that's how people think. Like, oh, they're coming there from a different time zone. I mean, like they're not even in the same realm as America,
Right.
And that's how we think. Like, oh, we don't think, yeah, they were on Facebook chatting it up. Like, hey, you know what?
Right.
I'm going to fucking leave and go to America. We think that they came across here with literally just walked with rags on.
Well, they do. I mean, if you watch video of them coming across, that's how they are coming across.
That is definitely our perception for sure. And I will say that
have you seen anything other than that? I mean, tell me what you've seen where somebody has come across and they're like, "Hey, here I am in my automobile. I'm going to go do this checkpoint."
They're not coming in an automobile usually, but they are paying.
Unless they're stashed in the back of it, wrapped up in a carpet.
Well, some of them are paying an absorbent amount of money to a coyote to bring them here. Everything.
Yes, but you think that what do you think the coyote is doing? The coyote, first of all, doesn't give a flying. If you think the government doesn't give a shit about us, imagine how little of a shit the coyote gives. He's got your money already. The coyote cares about himself. So he he could easily be taking you to a situation that might possibly be worse than what you're already experiencing. You could end up with a coyote and being sold into human trafficking. And there are people, just like you're talking about that girl. If you think that North Korea or China is the only place where people buy and sell people, I guarantee you there's still people that do that in America.
Oh yeah, it's
that own
slaves.
slaves.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and would love to get an illegal immigrant from South America that they could own and do all their work for them, and they could fucking just kill them when they're tired, or pay nothing.
Work, man, they ain't doing. Listen, trafficking is definitely not about labor.
When I say work, I'm trying to be. I know exactly what they're having them do.
I got you.
I know exactly what they're having them do. But in addition to that, you know, and that's, I mean.
So what do we do?
That's insane. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I don't believe in a wall. And I'll tell you why I don't believe in a wall first and foremost. Because here's the thing about walls that people need to remember. Walls work two ways. Walls don't just keep people out. Walls keep people in. There may come a time, and we certainly have seen some crazy shit happen in the world, where there are people on our side of the country, or on our side of the border, where an emergency comes up, a climate emergency, a terrorist emergency, a flood emergency, a weather emergency, earthquake, a fire, or whatever, where we need people to be able to evacuate into Mexico. And how fucking ridiculous would we look if that moment came and we've got 40,000 Americans beating on the fucking wall that we built, that we fucking erected ourselves to keep those motherfuckers from getting to us. And all of a sudden we need to go down there and do something over in Mexico, and we need their help. And it's not inconceivable that that could happen. It's completely conceivable that that could happen. And if we have a wall that's erected that prevents them from coming over here, it also prevents us from going over there. And it could easily happen that we end up fucking ourselves. And I'm just saying, walls work two ways. You got to be real, real careful when you decide to put a wall up around yourself. You're not just keeping people out. You're now inside of it. Whatever it is, you put a wall around this. You put a 20-foot wall around this house. And I'm going to tell you, it would not feel so friendly anymore. You would have a different feeling for yourself being inside of a 20-foot wall around your house than it would start to feel like a prison.
A lot of people have walls around their house. Maybe not 20-foot walls.
Put a 20-foot wall. Well, how high do you think the border wall is going to be? You think the border wall is going to be a 10-foot fence? The border wall is going to be a 20-foot 30-foot high wall.
And I don't know, man.
That's what they're going to put around on the border. When you look at they made the samples.
World War Z.
They made the samples. They have the examples of them. I'm sure they're still up. Trump made like 5 companies build sample walls.
Look like all the Olympic venues from past years, just overgrown, falling apart.
Well, probably, but they're still. If you could still measure how high they are, and I guarantee you they're not 10 feet. They're probably 20, 30 feet.
Be up there. I don't know. The issue with building the wall is that you can only build it in so many places. You can't build a wall around the entire damn country.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's not geographically feasible.
Right.
Only in certain areas.
And again, walls do serve two purposes. And I just don't think that we necessarily need to wall ourselves out in from the rest of the world.
So here's our problem is that the solution almost seems impossible. You don't have a solution.
No,
they don't have a solution.
I would say my thoughts are we have to get to the point, and this is my idealism and the way that I think, no differently than people tell me that it's impossible to replace money. People say how can you replace money? My answer is always the same, and it would be the same in this situation. Instead of creating an adversary, it's the same solution for police brutality. It's the same solution for hunger. It's the same solution for education. It's the same solution for healthcare. It's the same solution for every single problem that we have in the world. And it sounds so simple, and people are like, as soon as I say the word, people are like, that can never happen. But it's called cooperation. It's literally cooperation. It's literally people, instead of looking at each other as enemies, instead of looking at each other as foes, instead of us looking at this as they every 30 seconds on Fox, they call it a crisis. Boom, bam, crisis, boom, 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 boom. News flash, news, the Biden crisis. They're calling it that because they need all of us. And let me tell you something. The people that are in charge in the world, not just in this country, in this world, they thrive on keeping us angry at each other. They make us go fight wars against each other. The rich people don't fight fucking wars.
Show me one war with Mexico.
Well, I mean, we've called a war on drugs, a war on terror, a
war against Mexico.
You mean from another country or
from our country?
I believe that at one point we did fight a war with Mexico.
We did not fight.
In our history.
Oh,
in our history.
Maybe in 1800.
Yeah. Right. I'm saying
Alamo.
Right. But my point is,
it was not in Mexico.
Honestly, if we could foster a feeling, or I don't know, a sense of cooperation among people, where people said, you know what, we're gonna view all interactions with other human beings in a completely different way. We're gonna stop looking at people as adversaries. We're gonna stop calling it a crisis. The crisis is the people. What can we do to solve it? And some people's solution, it's just like the homelessness. Some people are like, oh, we'll just sweep them away. They're having I don't remember even where it was, somewhere right now. You name the city in America where people are erecting tents and they're, I think it was Seattle, Could have been Seattle, Austin. I lived in Austin. I saw
Austin is a big
the
homeless
homelessness down there. And then there's people out there who believe that the way to solve the problem, the solution is we just do a sweep of the area where they are, of their encampments. We knock down their tents. We cite them with legal, we give them citations. We arrest some of them, take them to jail. Some of them, we just sweep them. They're just, I remember when I was in New York, I was in Union Square Park. I was talking to this guy one time. And it was right before the election between Hillary and Trump. And he was like, you know what? I'm afraid. I was trying to get, who you for? He said, look, man, I'm not for either one. It doesn't matter to me. He goes, you know what I want? I want white people to be happy. He's like, whoever fucking wins, I just want white people to be happy, because when white people are happy, everything's cool. He's like, but when white people are upset, we all suffer. He's like, he's like, so whoever wins, whoever loses, whatever, I just want white people to be happy. And I said, well, what are you afraid? He goes, I'm afraid that it's going to become illegal to be poor and be alive, where I'm going to literally get to the point where there's nowhere I can even stand and exist and be unless I've got the money to stand and exist and be there. And I was like, God damn, man, you're right. And that is definitely where we're headed. And there are people that think that way. There are people that think the solution to homelessness, they don't think the solution is let's build structures that people can live in. They don't even want to do that. They're like, with my tax dollars,
Yep.
with my hard-earned, and believe me, on Fox News, every time there's any kind of program that's designed to solve any problem, they immediately throw out there, just like with the Obamacare. There was people out there that are like, they're doing it with our tax dollars. We're going to pay for health care. Do you know how much we overpay for health care to the people that make billions of dollars that run these insurance companies, even the people that have insurance? I can never forget listening to people who talk about, any crisis.
People pay any insurance, car insurance, health insurance, whatever it is, their entire life, hardly ever use it.
Right.
Ever.
The majority of the money is going to some executive. By the way, watch TV and tell me what kinds of companies have the most advertising and who are the most famous people on TV. Flo from Progressive. Doug and the Emu from Liberty Mutual. Turn on the television and tell me that there's any commercial break that does not include the Geico. They have a little lizard fucking walking around for Geico. Tell me there's any segment of commercials that doesn't include an insurance company.
No, you're right.
How we were ever
not only
bamboozled into fucking doing that in the first place. It's required for a lot of things.
It's amazing. And not only that, if you're higher risk, you just owe us more money.
Yeah,
Because we might have to pay something.
oh man, funny.
We don't want to pay shit, man.
Funny
I'll tell you
is
what, if you have a great driving record and you're old, you haven't fucked your life up, your insurance be like $50 a month.
There is a company. Well, there's probably several that have it, but there's one that really advertises it. I can't remember the name of the company. I wish I could, because I'd love to blast their ass. But they used to advertise that. I think it's Allstate. I think it's they used to advertise, their big advertisement was, we have accident forgiveness.
Yeah.
Which means that when you have your first accident, your rate is not going to change, because you've purchased our accident forgiveness policy. Let me explain to you what accident forgiveness means. Accident forgiveness means you're going to have your first accident and your rate is not going to change, because they've already fucked you and figured out how much it's going to cost for your first accident into what you're paying for now. Do you really think that you're buying the freedom to not have your rates go up? Your rate has already gone up. The insurance that you're paying for accident forgiveness. I mean, look, man, all of those companies out there, we could have healthcare, we could have food, we could have... They did a cost analysis of what the European health in Europe, what they pay for healthcare versus what we pay for it over here. for the cost of everyone in America, that we could have health care for everyone in America using the current system, the European system that they have, for less than what we currently have for just the poor, the elderly, and veterans. The three systems that we currently have that are socialist systems, which are, we have Medicare, we have Medicaid, and we have health care for veterans, which, by the way, I'm a veteran. I have no fucking health care. So I don't know. I suppose if I was a retired veteran, maybe I'd have health care, or if I was injured while I was in the military. But I've asked several times. I'm a veteran. I've got a DD 214. I've got my discharge papers. I got out in '88. I'm a fucking soldier. I've defended America. I have awards that I won serving for America. I don't have health insurance. That's not part of my thing. The only thing that I've really gotten out of it is you get a veteran's home loan, which I only had for about 6 months because then they took my house.
There you go. So to circle back to where we started, the border problem is it's an unsolvable problem.
It's not unsolvable.
It is unsolvable.
It's not unsolvable. We are approaching it. It is our approach. It is our approach to everything that causes the problem, intensifies the problem, and makes it worse. There is solutions to all this stuff. There are solutions to every single thing. And the thing is, if you mention what we need to do, people, you can't, right? Oh, that's impossible.
All right. So how about, what did you think of Trump's plan, which was he wants you to come, and he wants you to come through the system which the government has, but also the system in which the government has is severely broken, and we need to fix that system so that you can come here and you don't have to trek through the desert and die. So is the issue the system we have in place, which is
Every
horrific.
system we have in place sucks.
Okay, well, we're going to focus on this one. How do we make the system that we have more efficient? I feel like it's 2021, it's almost 2022, and there should be a rather streamlined process. You want to come here, cool. Do you have?
It's not even a matter of wanting to come here. They're here. They're already here.
We're not talking about that. If they're already here, they're here. Okay, good. If you want to become a citizen, the process should be pretty much the same if you're already here and you've made it somehow illegally. I don't think they should throw you back over the border and make you go through it again necessarily if you've made it through here, because if you're going to, you cannot retroact some system that we've got. Like, it'd be like retroacting a law. Like, well, you can't have cocaine, so you did 20 years in prison, but now cocaine's legal, so sorry, you're still in prison. No, you're out. So I think my solution would be to spend time and energy to make the process to become a citizen easier. If you want to come here, you submit documents, and this fucking Jacob ran out of gas. What a dumbass.
I have a different idea.
No, let me finish.
All right.
You make it easy enough. You go up there. If you have a phone, it's an app on your phone. You submit your fingerprint, right? Your picture of you for identification, a fingerprint to identify you. You say, I want to come here. Okay, cool. You get a visa at first. That'll let you through the door. And you can't have any, I would definitely put a restriction on it for you cannot have any violent criminal history. I would definitely not want someone there who, because look, man, there's places down there where they just don't keep them around for long. You know, you're a violent criminal, they're still on the street. If you have a criminal past that is violent in any way, that's deemed like you're probably going to come here and do some fucked up shit to people, I probably don't want you just to slide on through the door. But most people are trying to come. Children, all right, where are you going? Do you have a plan? Do you know where you go? Once they get through here, we have a lot of land, like you said, that's just barren, especially by the border. If they were to take and build some I wouldn't call them camps, but some small cities, that would be like a
well, that's similar to my plan.
Okay, and it'd be like a I'm trying to think of the word. It's the opposite of rehabilitation, but kind of like you go there and you just this is the plan that we
You
have.
earn your
for
way
you.
in.
Yeah, kind of.
No, I mean,
you have a place to
that's
stay. You have a roof over your head. You have basic food and water and access to showers. And we're going to find out what it is that you can do or you want to do or what your skill set is.
right.
There are people that come from below the border that
don't
are
even
doctors.
Yeah.
That are legitimate
Yeah, no.
medical professionals
No,
that cannot practice medicine in America. So
The dishwasher in my
Yeah,
one of
you
my
could
last jobs was a fucking real estate
so
agent.
you could have right.
like,
So let's find out where you go, and you start. You have a place to start, especially if you have nowhere to go, and from there you integrate into a country that you're not in any way accustomed to. Now, I'm going to say this: there are people coming from countries south of the border that are more. They're not. Look, people are not everyone down there is a caveman. Okay, and I believe that a lot of people look at them like they're a caveman.
Kind of you to acknowledge that there's some of them might not be cavemen.
I'm just saying. I think a lot of people in our country think of people below the borders like freaking, oh well, they're
No
just
doubt.
shitty
No doubt.
humans.
They
But-
do not even. I would say there's plenty of people in this country that do not think of them as human beings at all.
That's also probably
They're not
fair.
even impacted by their deaths as they come across the river or the desert or whatever it is they do.
My plan
They're like-
still, my ideology of it still requires some sort of system to where you know who's coming across. Because if you're already here, if you're born a citizen,
See, all right.
they know who you are.
Well, I would.
You have you can't integrate into our society, Marshall, without identification, without a background, without some sort of history. You can't just roam free.
I disagree with that. The only thing that I would say that I would change about what, and I agree with probably 80% of what you said.
That's a lot.
What right? That's a lot. I'm saying what I would say is you can come across, but we got a lot of shit that needs to be done in America. We have a lot of things that need to be done. These are going, what I would open up, and I would make this available to all people, not just, you don't even need to have an hourly wage or a job anymore. We're going to set up a system where you build your own house. You build your own city. You grow your own food. We're gonna start providing you with the basic materials, but it's not only got to be what you do for yourself. It's got to contribute in some way to the things that need to be done to make society better. We need things monitored. We need roads paved. We need food grown. We need things transported. We need buildings made. We have a homeless problem. We have people that can build houses. We have people that can cut down trees, make wood, make tools, do the things that we need to make our country needs to be built better than it is because it currently sucks. And there's a lot of things that need to be done.
What you're saying, the methods in which we use to do that are far more advanced than you just going out and cutting down a tree and building a house.
Exactly.
You're not just going to go do that. I mean, it's when you say, "All right, well, we need."
There
lumber,
are people there are people that at every level can participate in that process.
Yeah,
there are
they can
people
participate in it,
that
but
are smart enough to.
Are they going to build a sawmill and harvest
Yes.
slump? No, they're not.
Yes, with the proper guidance, they can. Absolutely. You can do it. Look, man, I worked construction. When I got out of the military, I did high-rise concrete construction for 2 years. When I got out of college, I did residential and commercial concrete construction for another year because I couldn't find a job. And I had to go back to doing it. And concrete construction sucks. And I knew nothing about it. I didn't know how to do it. I started out as a laborer, making $7 an hour when I first did it. Got out of the Army and did it for 2 years. High-rise concrete construction. I put up scaffolding. Ultimately, by the time I left after 2 years, I was an engineer. I was making like $13 an hour, and I learned how to level off the deck and snap the chalk lines for the perimeter of the. You have to when you're building concrete, you have to.
You can do stuff. How about this idea?
No, you can.
How
But
about
I'm
this
saying
idea?
there's a lot of things people can learn and do.
How about this idea, Marshall? How many cities in America are just run down, abandoned,
Of course.
full of that?
Yeah.
And you look at them. You see
Detroit.
pictures, and Detroit. That's the number one city that comes to mind. It's just
There's abandoned buildings everywhere.
everywhere. So you say, all right, look, we're going to take a bunch of you, that have come here, and you're going to Detroit, and you
There
have to improve the area you're in.
Right. There you go.
You know, you
Right.
can paint, you can fix some walls, you can paint some shit,
There you
can
go.
cut some grass.
Yes.
You can beautify
Right.
this area.
Yes.
And if there's crime,
Yes.
you can fucking fuck them up. I don't know.
No, there's
3,000
every element. Well, first of all, there's hundreds of thousands of them. I
Yeah.
think at this point, they've somebody. I don't know if this number is accurate or not, but my impression was that from the beginning of the year until now, almost 1 million people have come across the border. I don't know if that many people have been detained or that many people have come across. I don't know exactly where that, but somebody
think they even
mentioned. Yeah, we don't know. We don't. They're coming across they're pouring across.
Yeah.
And I would just say, there are places all over the country that are completely run down and run to shit, that are halfway built up, that are in states of disrepair. You know, you've got to believe that if they've left wherever they were leaving nothing behind. Whether that means they were, you know, and with support, with guidance, with people around. Hey, this is a city. This is a part of Detroit where there's 700 empty houses in this area. They're so dangerous over there. They kids light them on fire and they burn down and all kinds of shit happens in them and people get, and that's to me where the word cooperation comes from. We literally turned to them at the border and we were like, look, man, we ain't going to arrest you. We're not going to arrest you. We want you here. We got some shit that needs to be done. Here's what needs to be done. Here's where it needs to be. We got Detroit. We got LA. We got Seattle. Where would you like? This is what you're going to have to do when you get there. Are you agreeing to do this? Will you commit to helping? We're going to help you. We're going to make your life better. When you get there, you're going to have a place to stay. We're going to make sure that where you move to is not going to be so run down that you're living on the streets and you're living, but we're not going to put you in a hotel either. And we're not going to just hand deliver you food every day. You're going to have to go up there and make the place better. And as long as you're making it better, then you can stay. And we're not gonna harass you. We're gonna try to integrate you into our country. That's what you want, right? Is that what you want? If that's what you want, then we're not gonna chase you around with cops with guns. We're gonna stand here and say, all right, you want in? Come on in. Come on in. Just like I would do at my own house. If I'm living, my house is, I got a nice big house. You know, there's people that in this country that they just don't realize how fortunate they were to be born here. If you were born here, you were born here through no effort of your own. You were born here. Complete luck of the draw. So, and people are like, I don't want these people in our country. Well, motherfucker, you didn't even build this fucking country. You didn't have anything to do with where this country is right now, how great it is right now, where we are, all the things that we have access to, all the things that are going on. You were fucking born here and you got it. Yeah. They're like, look, it's like you're inside of the greatest mansion in the world. And there's people outside the mansion in a fucking tornado. And you're going to stand at the door of the thing, and instead of going, oh man, you can't come in. I didn't build the mansion, but I don't want you in here. No, man, let them come in. I would treat it completely different. I would welcome them. I would change the whole concept. And the thing is, we can do that with everything. You know, I know that people say right now, one of the most toxic things that you can present to the world is defund the police. And I believe that it's toxic as well. But what I would do instead of defunding the police is I would change the function of the police. I would say to the police, don't have such an adversarial approach to all the people that you're dealing with. If you don't, hey man, I get people that want to fight me all the fucking time. And I haven't gotten into a physical. I had a guy at a softball game one time that was getting mad because I was blocking the base path while I was playing first base. So he bunted one down the third baseline. And while I was waiting for the ball from the third baseman, he fucking ran me over as I'm standing at first base waiting. And I could have killed him if I wanted to, but I didn't. And I realized that in his mind, I was somehow creating chaos in his life. And I diffused the situation. I have the ability to beat the shit out of that guy. I have created a life for myself where I can beat the shit out of as many people as I need to. I don't want to. I don't want to fight people. I could go around fighting people all the fucking time. I'm going to go to a bar after I leave here tonight. If I want to, I could walk in the bar. I could kick the shit out of almost every single person in the fucking bar. I don't want to. I want to go in there and have a good time. So my approach is different. And I'm saying if we could change the approach that we have in terms of everything, why do we have to look at somebody who comes into a hospital with no money as an enemy of the hospital? We don't. All right, you need medical service. Well, these are the things that we need to have done in the hospital. These are some functions that need to be taken care of in the hospital. What can we do? What can you do to help us out? And we'll help you out. We should do that with everything, not just with the border crisis, not just with the police, not just with everything. It is possible. And what I'm saying is we need to reimagine our approach to humanity and change not only because all of these problems that I listen to, all this noise I'm listening to every day, and believe me, when you watch Fox News, you're watching noise. These people are doing everything they can to get us to hate each other. They all want us to hate each other. And we don't even know each other. And I guarantee you that if we got to know each other, we would fucking like each other. Dude, people are cool. People are cool. People that you think you have nothing in common with, that you don't know, that you're not going to like, sit down and talk to that motherfucker. I guarantee you, you'll start laughing about some shit because we've all been through the same shit. We've all had hard times. We've all had to overcome stuff. We've all had to try to figure things out when nobody else gave a shit about us. And everyone's been through that. And that's what brings us together. And if we would change our approach to every situation, and I'm telling you, I know the word is toxic. I say it and people just laugh and they dismiss me like I'm nuts. I've been saying this for the last 20 years of my life. Money can be replaced with cooperation. Our hunger problem can be solved with cooperation. Our border crisis can be solved with cooperation. Come to the border. Come to the fucking border. We don't have border patrol agents. We got people with a list of jobs. We got a list of fucking jobs. We got a shitload of stuff that needs to be done. They're arguing in Congress right now. What are we going to fix? We're going to spend this much money to fix the roads. Are we going to spend this much? But they're not even going to, eventually they're not even going to, all they're going to do is send money to rich people. 99% of the money that we're going to spend on infrastructure isn't even going to fix a goddamn thing. And 10 years from now, nobody's even going to fucking realize. They're going to be looking at everything and be like, everything still sucks. What happened to that infrastructure deal we passed 10 years ago? I thought everything was supposed to be fixed. I thought we were supposed to have better airports. I thought we were supposed to have better roads. I thought we were supposed to have better bridges. I thought we were supposed to have better internet. We don't have any of that shit. Where'd all that fucking money go?
Fucking no! And furthermore, why? I gotta make you laugh eventually. I don't know, man. All right, well, that's not bad. I think we both have a similar idea. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how you get there.
Well, and I'll also say this to the people that are mad about all the drugs that come across the border, because I hear that all the time.
Stop doing drugs. They won't bring them.
We're consuming them.
Stop.
We're consuming them.
I mean, like, we're not going to bring any drugs in there because nobody wants them.
There'd be no people trying to smuggle drugs into America if there weren't a bunch of Americans waiting for the drugs to fucking do them.
This is facts.
We should grow our own drugs.
Yeah, if you want cocaine, if you don't want it over the border, stop doing cocaine. It's not like they're coming over here and injecting it into you.
Right, yeah, right.
They're not doing that. They're not like, oh my God, did you see them? They came in my house and shot me up.
With the cocaine. I'm filled with, they made me smoke crack, and I didn't want to.
You motherfuckers are out on the street like, hey.
Doing it.
You got some more of that shit?
Right.
And they're like, nah, I'm going to make a call. And next thing you know, Pedro brought some shit over and sold it to your dumb ass. And they're over there living it up. And look, not everyone in Mexico is dirt poor. Some of them have illustrious compounds built off of your dumb ass snorting coke every Saturday night.
You know,